A billion-dollar company completely shut down, the CEO in total panic, the best experts failing. And then a 12-year-old girl, the janitor's daughter, says, "I can fix it." Everyone laughed at her. No one imagined she would save everything and destroy the true villain. Prepare for a story that will shock you. It was 5:30 a.m. when Carl Henderson arrived at TechCorp in the city. At 49, this immigrant janitor carried on his shoulders the dream of giving a better future to his daughter. 15 years. Earlier, he had left everything in his home country for the love of his family, his wife, Maria, and little Sophia. "Dad!" shouted 12-year-old Sophia, running through the hallways with her bright eyes. "You forgot your sandwich." Sophia Henderson was special. At school, she always got the best grades in math and science. Her intelligence surprised her teachers, who praised her ability to solve complex problems. She dreamed of working in technology, but knew that people like her family rarely had such opportunities. "One day, I'm going to work here, but not cleaning," Sophia would say, watching the engineers. "I'm going to be an engineer and create amazing things." Carl felt his heart clench. He knew the harsh reality, but he would never discourage his daughter's dreams. "You are the smartest girl in the world, my daughter." During the mornings, they worked together. Sophia helped her father organize materials, check equipment, always analyzing everything around her. Her mind worked like a computer, constantly absorbing knowledge. "Dad, why do these people look at us as if we were invisible?" Sophia asked, when executives passed without greeting them. Carl stopped cleaning. "Daughter, some people think they are better just because they have more money, but remember what I always tell you, that a person's worth is in what they are inside," Sophia recited. "Exactly. You have the purest heart and the brightest mind I know." Not everyone was like that. Sarah, a secretary, always talked to Sophia about school. Mike, from security, had given the girl programming books. "Sophia is special, Carl. She has a bright future," Sarah would say. Sophia dreamed every night. She saw herself creating programs that would help millions, working in elegant offices, proving that origin does not determine destiny. But she also saw how some people looked at her and Carl with contempt. "One day I will show that it doesn't matter where you come from, but where you want to go," she murmured. Observing the engineers, Carl worked tirelessly, saving every penny for Sophia's education. "My daughter will be someone important. She won't clean floors for anyone," he confided to Maria. Sophia listened and felt determination grow. She carried not only her dreams, but those of her parents. Every book read, every problem solved, every program created on the library computer was a step towards a better future. The story of Sophia and Carl represented millions of immigrant families, hard-working, honest people, full of dreams, but constantly underestimated. They were the silent force that kept the country running, rarely receiving deserved recognition. Carl treated everyone with respect, from executives to simple employees. His humility and kindness were known throughout the building. Even being just a janitor, he had won the affection of many good people. Sophia absorbed these lessons daily. She saw how her father maintained dignity, even when ignored, how he genuinely smiled at everyone, how he taught by example that character is worth more than position. "You will achieve everything you dream of," Carl would say, hugging his daughter. "But never forget where you came from and who taught you to dream." That Monday morning, neither father nor daughter imagined that their lives would change forever. In a few hours, the girl, whom everyone ignored, would become the most important person at TechCorp. While Sophia helped Carl on the 30th floor, she had no idea that soon the entire company would depend on her to survive. The girl, seen as just the janitor's daughter, was about to become the most unlikely heroine in corporate history. Her father had planted seeds of kindness, intelligence, and determination. Now, those seeds were about to bloom in a way that would not only change their lives, but also transform an entire company and prove that greatness has nothing to do with origin. On the top floor of TechCorp, Richard Sterling commanded his billion-dollar empire. At 54, this arrogant CEO saw the world divided between winners and losers. For him, people like Carl and Sophia were born losers, destined to serve superiors like him. "Jennifer, why are there cleaning people in the hallways? These people should be invisible," Richard shouted to his secretary, but the true villain was 2 floors below. Mark Thompson, a 47-year-old technology director, harbored hatred for both Richard and immigrants. Calculating and ambitious, Mark had concocted a diabolical plan to take control of the company. "Look at that," Mark muttered with disgust, seeing Sophia help her father. "Even children invading our workplace. What a lack of respect." Mark especially despised immigrants. For him, they were pests, infecting the country, stealing opportunities from true Americans. His ambition was simple: bring down Richard and command TechCorp, no matter how many lives he destroyed in the process. Over the weekend, Mark executed his plan using privileged access. He installed a devastating virus that would paralyze the entire operation and destroy crucial data. His goal was to cause such chaos that Richard would be blamed and fired, opening the way for him to take command. "Today's the day," Mark murmured at 9:30, checking his watch. "Richard Sterling is going to find out what it means to lose everything." With a few clicks, Mark activated the virus. In seconds, the program spread through the systems like an uncontrolled fire. All screens went black. Computers crashed. Phones died. A deadly silence fell over the offices. Then chaos erupted. "My computer died!" someone from finance shouted. "The entire system is down," another yelled. "I can't access anything." TechCorp, processing millions per hour, was completely paralyzed, as if someone had turned off a giant's brain. Richard ran out like he was possessed, his face red with panic, hands trembling. "What's happening? Why isn't anything working?" Mark immediately appeared, feigning surprise. "Richard, we had a catastrophic central system failure. I've never seen anything like it." "A failure?" Richard almost screamed. "We have 200 million in contracts being processed. Every minute is 50,000 lost. Fix it now." "I'm doing my best," Mark lied. "But it will take time. Maybe call the board." Richard felt the world collapsing. The board would not forgive an error of this magnitude. His career, reputation, everything at risk. On the lower floors, Sophia and Carl heard confusion coming from above. Screams, running, phones ringing, as if the building had gone crazy. "What happened, Dad?" Sophia asked. Sophia observed security monitors, seeing desperate people running through the hallways. Her analytical mind immediately processed it. She had studied systems in school. She knew that failures like this don't happen by chance. "Dad, systems don't just stop like this. Someone did this on purpose." "How do you know that?" Carl asked, surprised. "I learned it in school. Well-made systems have protections. For everything to stop simultaneously, someone broke protections from the inside." Meanwhile, Richard called the emergency command center. "Call Tech Support Solutions. I want the best specialists here in an hour." Jennifer dialed frantically. Phones wouldn't stop ringing. Angry customers, panicked investors, government agencies demanding explanations. TechCorp was losing its reputation along with its systems. Mark circulated, pretending to help, but sabotaged every attempt at a solution. When someone suggested a promising idea, Mark found a technical reason to discard it. The first specialists arrived from Tech Support Solutions with an experienced team. "We need full access to diagnose," said David Chen, the team leader. "Carte blanche," Richard replied desperately. "Every minute counts thousands." More teams arrived. Compois Pro, Digital Rescue. The room was packed with New York's brightest minds, but nothing worked. "I've never seen such a sophisticated virus." admitted a specialist, as if it was created by someone who knows every detail of the systems. 3 hours passed. The city's best specialists failed. Richard became desperate, watching his empire crumble. Mark continued his performance of concern, but internally celebrated. The plan was working perfectly. Soon Richard would be fired, and he would take command. "I'm calling the authorities," Richard decided. "If this was sabotage, I need a full investigation." Mark felt a chill. The authorities. Investigating could discover his involvement. Richard, maybe that's rash. The authorities might confiscate equipment, delaying recovery. "I don't care. I want answers. Someone destroyed my company." Sophia, observing hidden, saw fear in Mark's eyes. When Richard mentioned the authorities, at that moment she was sure Mark was the culprit. He was sabotaging the company from the inside out. But how could a 12-year-old girl prove it? Who would believe her? She was just the janitor's daughter, invisible in that world of executives, while specialists failed and Mark secretly sabotaged every report. Sophia formulated her own plan. The girl, ignored by everyone, was about to discover the truth that would save the company and destroy the villain. At 4 p.m., despair reached catastrophic proportions. 8 teams of specialists had failed. Richard was on the verge of a nervous breakdown. The company lost $2 million in 6 hours. "How can no one solve this?" Richard shouted, throwing a pen across the room. Mark continued his concerned performance, but internally celebrated. The plan was working perfectly. Soon, the board would blame Richard, and he would take command. Sophia had explored technical areas with her father in the last few hours. She memorized the location of each server, each piece of equipment. Her mind mapped the company's nervous system like a 3-dimensional computer. If computers stopped simultaneously, the problem is in the main one, like the heart of the body, Sophia said, as they cleaned the server room. Carl looked at her admiringly. "You're very smart, Sophia." She felt thoughtful. She had studied networks in science club. She knew that systems had central control points. If she found that point, Richard called an emergency meeting with the specialists. Frustration was stamped on every face. "Does anyone have a new idea?" the defeated man asked. "We need to consider internal sabotage," said David Chen. "Someone with full access who knows the systems." "Better than anyone." Mark broke out in a cold sweat. "David, that's a very serious accusation. Are you suggesting someone from the team?" "I'm considering all possibilities. I believe it was internal sabotage." Richard looked around. "If I find out someone betrayed my trust, I will destroy that person." At that moment, Sophia appeared at the door. She had decided to act. Even as a child, she couldn't stand by knowing the truth. "Excuse me, I can help." The room fell silent. 25 brilliant minds looked at the 12-year-old girl in simple clothes. "Who is this child?" Richard asked, irritated. "My daughter," Carl said, embarrassed. "Sophia, we shouldn't disturb them. Let's go." "Wait, Dad. I studied computers in school. I know what kind of problem causes this." Mark abruptly stood up, his face contorted with rage. "Ridiculous. A kid wants to teach New York's best specialists." "Let's hear her out," David Chen tried to intervene. "No!" Mark exploded. "Waste of time. We won't let children distract us." Sophia felt tears burn but refused to cry. She just wanted to help. "I noticed that Mr. Mark always—" Mark bellowed. "Security, get this family out of here. They have no permission here." "We've always worked all floors," Carl tried. "Now, huh?" Mark shouted, pointing. "You immigrants always butt in where you're not called. Do you think you can come to our country and tell us how to work?" The room became embarrassed. Specialists lowered their heads, ashamed by the display of prejudice. "I know you don't like me, but I can help," Sophia said firmly. "I saw that you always interrupt when someone suggests something that could work." Mark turned pale. "How dare you accuse me? I am the director of technology. You are nothing, less than nothing." "Mark, calm down," Richard said uncomfortably. "I'm tired of us being invaded. First they steal jobs, now they want to steal knowledge. Sophia looked into Mark's eyes and saw something that frightened her. Pure fear. He wasn't just angry, he was terrified of what she might discover. "Dad, let's go." "No, we need to stay where we're not welcome." As they left, Sophia heard Mark continue his hate speech. "People like that are exactly what's wrong with this country. They don't belong here." Carl was heartbroken. 15 years of honest work, treating everyone with respect, and he was still seen as an invader. "Don't worry, daughter. It doesn't matter what other people say." "I know who we are, Dad," Sophia replied, determined. In the basement, Sophia turned, her eyes shining with determination. "Dad, I need to tell you something important. I found out who's causing problems." "What do you mean?" "It's Mr. Mark. He's lying to everyone. He knows how to fix it, but he doesn't want to. He's doing it on purpose." Carl looked worried. "Sophia, serious accusations, are you sure?" "I observed for hours. Whenever someone suggests a solution, he finds an excuse. And when Mr. Richard talked about the authorities, he got really scared." "Even if you're right, who will believe us? We're just a janitor and his daughter." Sophia processed her father's words. He was right. No one would believe her. She was just an invisible girl, but she remembered the words her father always said. "A person's worth is not in what they have, but in what they are inside." "Dad, if no one will listen to us, we'll show them the truth with actions." "What do you mean?" "I'm going to fix the computers myself. When I do, everyone will know that." Mr. Mark was lying. Carl felt a mixture of pride and fear, his 12-year-old daughter proposing to confront the most powerful man in the company. It could be dangerous, Sophia. "I know it's dangerous, but I can't let him keep hurting innocent people. How many families will lose their jobs if the company closes?" Carl saw that his daughter was no longer a child. She was a young woman with principles and the courage to fight for what was right. "All right, but promise to be careful." "I promise." "Dad." Sophia didn't know she was embarking on the most dangerous adventure of her life. Mark was not just prejudiced. He was a desperate criminal who would do anything to protect his diabolical plan. It was midnight when Sophia silently left home. She waited for her parents to sleep to execute her risky plan. With a small flashlight and a pounding heart, she headed to TechCorp. She knew this might be her only chance to discover the truth and save the company. The building was plunged into darkness, only emergency lights illuminating the empty corridors. Sophia knew every service entrance, every staircase, every corner. She was a ghost moving through the shadows. "I need to get to the main server room," she murmured, climbing the emergency stairs. She had memorized exactly where the company's technological heart was located, a special room on the 30th floor with computers controlling everything. If she got there, maybe she would find evidence of what Mark had done. The door was locked, but Sophia remembered that her father had access to the maintenance keys. She quickly went down to the basement, took Carl's master key, and ran back. "Please let it work," she whispered, inserting the key. The door opened with a soft click. Sophia entered, impressed. Hundreds of computers flickered in organized rows, a city of blue and green lights. It was TechCorp's brain. She turned on the terminal, which was running in emergency mode. Her fingers flew over the keyboard. She had learned programming in school and practiced a lot at the library. If Mark installed a virus, he must have left traces. For 2 hours she searched logs like a detective looking for clues. At 2:30 a.m., she found what she was looking for. My God! On the screen was complete proof of the crime, the virus file with Mark's name clearly identified as the creator. But that wasn't all. There were secret emails Mark had sent to competitors trying to sell confidential information. He wasn't just trying to bring down Mr. Richard. He was selling secrets. Sophia discovered that Mark had planned everything in detail. First, install the virus, causing total chaos. Second, blame Richard, forcing his dismissal. Third, take command and continue selling secrets, earning millions illegally. What a horrible man. In emails, Mark wrote about his hatred for immigrants and hard-working families. These inferior people are parasites. When I command TechCorp, I will get rid of all the locals. Sophia felt tears of anger. Mark was not just a traitor, he was a man full of hatred, wanting to destroy entire families. But she found something even worse. Mark had installed a second virus programmed to activate in 48 hours, permanently destroying all company data, including personal information of thousands of employees. He wants to destroy everything, not just the company, but the lives of the people who work here. Sophia realized she had not just found evidence of a crime. She had discovered that Mark was much more dangerous than she had imagined, willing to destroy thousands of lives to get what he wanted. I need to stop this. She began to study the virus Mark had created. It was a complex program, but Sophia noticed something interesting. It had a back door, a secret way to deactivate it that only Mark knew. If she could discover the password for an hour, she tested different combinations. Mark was arrogant. He would probably use a password reflecting his ego. She tried his own name. The company name, important dates, nothing worked. Then she had an idea. She remembered the prejudiced emails. Maybe he used a word related to hatred. She typed superiority, access denied, pure land, access denied. She thought more. Mark thought of himself as the king of the company. King Mark, access granted. I did it. Now she had complete access to Mark's system. She could not only deactivate the current virus, but also prevent the second virus and gather all evidence of the crimes. She worked frantically, copying emails, documents, records of illegal transactions. It was a giant puzzle, each piece showing the extent of the betrayal. At 4 a.m., she managed to completely deactivate the first virus. TechCorp's systems were ready to function normally. She also blocked the second virus and saved evidence in secure locations. Now I need to decide what to do. She could simply restore the systems and let the adults discover the rest. But Sophia knew that Mark was smart and dangerous. If he discovered interference, he could destroy evidence or harm innocent people. I need to do this right. Make sure Mark is publicly exposed in front of everyone so he can't escape. She formulated a risky plan. The next morning, when the specialists were gathered, she would appear, offering to try to fix the systems. She would pretend to discover it at that moment, but when she restored the systems, evidence of the crimes would automatically appear on the main screens. It's going to be dangerous. Mark will be desperate when he realizes he's been discovered, but it's the only way to ensure justice. She erased any traces of her presence there during the night. The smart girl knew she needed to keep the investigation secret until the right moment. When she left the building at 5 a.m., Sophia felt a mixture of fear and determination. She had discovered the complete truth about Mark's wickedness, but now came the hardest part, confronting him publicly. Tomorrow, truth will triumph over lies. She had no idea how violent Mark's reaction would be when he discovered that an inferior child had destroyed all his diabolical plans. On Tuesday morning, Sophia arrived at TechCorp with her heart beating like a drum. She had slept only 2 hours, but her mind was alert. Today would be the day of truth. She would confront Mark and expose all his crimes. "Good morning, daughter," Carl said, noticing his daughter was quiet. "Are you okay?" "I am, Dad. Just nervous because of yesterday. Don't worry about bad people. We know who we are." "I know, Dad, and today everyone will know too." At 9 o'clock, Richard called an emergency meeting. He had spent the night awake watching the company crumble, investors withdrawing funds, clients cancelling contracts, the board scheduling a meeting to discuss leadership changes. "Does anyone have any news?" Richard asked, defeated. Mark was internally radiant, maintaining a concerned expression. The plan was working perfectly. Hours, Richard would be fired, and he would take command. Unfortunately, we don't have good news, Mark lied. The attack was sophisticated. Perhaps it's best for you to prepare to explain to the board. Wait, a small but firm voice interrupted. Everyone turned. Sophia stood at the door, wearing her best clothes, a simple dress that Maria had bought. No, not again, Mark exploded, his face red with rage. I said yesterday that family isn't allowed. Please, Sophia said, ignoring Mark. Addressing Richard, Mr. Sterling, I know how to fix the computers. The room fell silent. 20 specialists looked at the 12-year-old girl, claiming to solve a problem they couldn't in 2 days. This is ridiculous, Mark bellowed. You're going to waste time listening to a child when you should be— Mark, let her speak, said David Chen. At this point, we'll listen to any idea. Thank you. I studied the problem last night. I found out it's not an external attack. The virus, it was installed by someone from the inside. Mark felt his blood run cold. How could a child know? Because I understand computers, and because I saw who did it. Impossible, Mark shouted, standing up abruptly. You can't prove anything. Actually, I can. If you let me use a computer, I can show exactly who created the virus, when they installed it, and the emails that person sent to competitors. Richard looked at Sophia with a mixture of disbelief and hope. You can really do that. I can. But the person who did it will try to stop me. Mark was panicking. His mind worked frantically, trying to find a way to stop Sophia without looking suspicious. Richard, this is a waste of time, he said, trying to control his voice. We can't let a child mess with the systems. It could cause irreparable damage. What damage? Asked David Chen, suspicious of the resistance. The systems are already down. Let the girl try, said Sarah Williams. What do we have to lose? Richard decided. Sophia, you have 15 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Sterling. Mark knew he was lost if Sophia accessed the system. In despair, he made a dangerous decision. Stop, he shouted, blocking the way. I will not allow a child to destroy our company. Mark, get out of the way, Richard ordered, irritated. No, he bellowed, losing control completely. You don't understand. This girl is going to destroy everything. She's going to what, Mark? Asked David Chen, clearly suspicious. Mark realized he had said too much. Hatred and panic betrayed his careful composure. She's going to discover things that could be misinterpreted. What kind of things? Richard pressed. Sophia took advantage of the distraction and reached the computer. Her fingers flew over the keyboard, entering commands memorized during the night. No! Mark shouted, running towards Sophia. It was too late. The main screen lit up, showing the virus code with Mark's name clearly identified as the creator. The room fell into absolute silence. Marcus Thompson, virus installation completed on June 14th, 11:47 p.m. David Chen read aloud. This is a setup. Someone used my name. But Sophia continued. More evidence appeared. Emails to competitors offering secrets, plans to take control, the second virus programmed to destroy personal employee information. My God, Richard murmured, reading the emails. Mark, you betrayed our company. You betrayed me. You don't understand, Mark exploded, all his hatred coming to the surface. This company should be mine. I've worked here for 15 years. I won't let filthy immigrants come to our country and humiliate us. Mark grabbed Sophia's arm forcefully. You destroyed everything. You filthy little girl, you had no right. Get your hands off my daughter, Carl shouted, appearing like a lion protecting its cub. Mark, let her go, Richard ordered. But Mark was out of control. Years of hatred, envy, and frustration exploded like a volcano. You don't understand what you've done. This child destroyed years of planning. I should command this company. David Chen and the specialists moved forward to help Sophia, but Mark backed away, holding the girl. Stay back, Mark shouted. I'm going to delete everything, destroy all company data. You can't, Sophia said calmly, even though she was scared. I've already blocked all your access. Mark looked at Sophia with pure hatred. You smart little demon. Do you think you're better than me? No, Sophia replied, her voice firm, despite the fear. I just think all people deserve respect, no matter where they come from. It was these simple words that completely broke Mark. He realized he had been defeated not by force or money, but by the kindness and intelligence of a child he considered inferior. This isn't over, he whispered, pushing Sophia and running for the door. But it was too late. The evidence was exposed for all to see. Mark Thompson, the man who thought he was superior, had revealed himself as the true parasite. Mark ran through the corridors like he was possessed, but there was no escape. In minutes, security was alerted and he was apprehended trying to exit through the back. His face, once arrogant, now showed only despair and defeat. In the meeting room, an impressive silence fell. The evidence on the screen was irrefutable. Compromising emails, virus codes, sabotage plans, all with Mark's digital signature. Sophia, Richard said, his voice trembling with emotion. You saved our company. The 12-year-old girl stood beside her father, still trembling from the confrontation, but with eyes shining with accomplished determination. I just did what was right, Mr. Sterling. David Chen shook his head in admiration. In 15 years of my career, I've never seen anything like this. A 12-year-old child solved in minutes what 20 specialists couldn't in 2 days. How did you figure it out? Asked Sarah Williams. Sophia looked at her father for encouragement. Carl swelled with pride. I observed. Whenever someone suggested a solution, Mr. Mark found an excuse. And when Mr. Sterling talked about the authorities, he got really scared. But how did you get access to the systems? I studied during the night. My father has access to all areas because of his work. I used that to investigate. Richard Sterling, a man who had spent decades focused only on profits, felt something he hadn't experienced in years. True humility. Sophia, I need to apologize. Yesterday when Marky humiliated you, I should have defended you. I should have listened. Don't worry, Mr. Sterling, Sophia replied graciously. Sometimes people need time to learn. Authorities arrived. Mark would face serious criminal charges, corporate sabotage, industrial espionage, sale of trade secrets. Miss Sophia, said Special Agent Johnson, your evidence is exceptional. You have an impressive investigative mind. Carl watched with tears of pride. His little daughter, yesterday humiliated and despised, now praised by the country's best professionals. Dad, you were right when you said a person's worth comes from within. You proved that to the whole world, my daughter. With Sophia guiding them, TechCorp's systems were restored in 2 hours. All data recovered, viruses eliminated, the company functioning normally. What could have resulted in bankruptcy turned into a demonstration of how intelligence and kindness triumph over evil. Richard called a meeting with all employees. 1,500 people gathered in the auditorium to hear what had happened. TechCorp employees, yesterday our company faced the biggest crisis in its history. Systems were sabotaged by someone we trusted, Richard began. A murmur of shock ran through the crowd. But today, our company was saved by a person many of us ignored every day. Sophia Henderson, the daughter of our janitor Carl, not only discovered the traitor, but restored our systems. The auditorium erupted in applause. Sophia, in the front row next to her father, blushed with emotion. Mark Thompson has been arrested. He will face federal charges for corporate sabotage and betrayal. He tried to destroy our company for personal gain. The crowd reacted with anger and indignation. But today is not about Mark. It's about Sophia, Carl, and a lesson we all need to learn. Richard asked Sophia to come to the stage. The girl hesitated, but her father encouraged her with a smile. This girl taught us something I had forgotten. She showed that a person's worth is not in their position or salary, but in their character, intelligence, and kindness. The applause intensified. Therefore, I announce immediate changes. First, Carl Henderson is being promoted to facilities supervisor with a salary that reflects his dedication. Carl stood open-mouthed. In 15 years as a janitor, he never imagined a promotion. Second, Sophia Henderson is our new special security consultant. She will work with us during her free hours from school. Sophia couldn't hold back. Her tears, all her dreams of working in technology, were becoming a reality. And third, I'm establishing the Sophia Henderson Program, a scholarship fund for employees' children who demonstrate excellence regardless of origin. The entire auditorium rose in ovation. Employees cried, applauded, shouted support for Sophia and Carl. Jennifer, Richard's secretary, approached the stage. I would like to publicly apologize. Yesterday, when Mark asked to expel them, I should have opposed. It's okay, Sophia replied graciously. We all make mistakes sometimes. The important thing is to learn. After the meeting, Richard spoke with Sophia and Carl in his office. For years, I treated employees like you as invisible. I was wrong, and it almost cost me my company. We all have opportunities to grow, Carl said. The important thing is that you're choosing to do the right thing now. Sophia, you have a brilliant future. With your intelligence and character, you can become anything. I want to ensure you have all the educational opportunities you deserve. Thank you, Mr. Sterling, but I want to earn opportunities through hard work, not just because of what happened. Richard smiled. That answer confirms that you will go very far. That night, when Sophia and Carl arrived home, Maria was waiting for them with a surprise party. Neighbors, school friends, co-workers gathered to celebrate the girl who had become a hero. Daughter, I always knew you were special. Today the whole world found out, Maria said, hugging her daughter. Sophia looked around the room full of people who loved her. She thought of Mark, probably alone in a cell, consumed by hatred. She felt sorry for him, for wasting his entire life focusing on what others had, instead of valuing what he possessed. Dad, thank you for teaching me that a person's worth comes from within. That gave me the courage to do what was right. No, my daughter, you taught me something today. You showed that no matter how small we may seem, we all have the power to make a difference. Sophia fell asleep, knowing that she had not only changed the destiny of a company, but had proven that kindness, intelligence, and courage always triumph over hatred and evil. She transformed humiliation into victory, prejudice into a powerful lesson about the true value of people. This story reminds us that we live in a world where it's easy to judge people by appearance or origin, but Sophia teaches us that true value lies in character, kindness, and willingness to do what's right. How many Sophias are around us going unnoticed? How many Carls work honestly, deserving respect? The next time you meet someone whom society considers lesser, remember Sophia. Treat them with the dignity they deserve. Listen to what they have to say. You might be surprised by the treasures you discover. Greatness is not in what you have, but in what you are. If this story touched your heart, then be like Sophia. Don't pass by unnoticed. Like this, subscribe to the channel and comment below. A person's worth is in what they are inside. Let's spread this message so that no Sophia in the world continues to be ignored. Yeah.